Betsy DeVos was approved by the Senate to be the next education secretary. Now, that is really, really, really bad news. Thankfully, every Democrat opposed her. I think this is the first one where all the Democrats came together and said, yeah, you went a little bit too far here. So remember, there are Democrats who even voted for Pompeo. Pompeo is now the CIA head, and he said Edward Snowden should be executed. He defended torturers as patriots. ExxonMobil, 3 Democrats voted for Rex Tillerson, the CEO of ExxonMobil, to be the next Secretary of State, even though President Trump in the campaign went everywhere saying we should, quote, take the oil from the Middle East. So even the Democratic sellouts, the corporate Democrats, who you and I despise, even they said on DeVos, ooh, okay, this is way too far. So what happened is Vice President Mike Pence had to break a tie. It was 50-50. Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, they're Republicans. They're viewed as moderate Republicans. They actually voted against her. So, but save them, every other Republican voted for her. So even Republicans that like to every now and then buck orthodoxy, like Rand Paul, for example, on some issues, and even John McCain on other issues, even they were like, okay, we're going to end up voting for DeVos. Now, you're going to see why in just a second here, but let's keep in mind who Betsy DeVos is and why this is such a sad day. So Betsy DeVos is a billionaire. She is a Christian fundamentalist. She is a rabid school privatizer. In fact, she donated to private schools all over the place. She never went to public school. Nobody in her family ever went to public school. She doesn't believe in public school. And now she's the head of public schools. She also is the goofy-ass person who mentioned on the issue of guns, yeah, maybe we should have guns in school to protect the students from grizzly bears. Huh? She really said that in the hearing. If you haven't seen it, please go check it out. It's basically like Sarah Palin is now the head of education in the United States of America. She's also an oligarch. So look at the real reason why she was confirmed in the end. We've shown this before, but this is the chart of the amount of money that Betsy DeVos gave to all these different Republicans. You have Jim Inhofe, $1,000, Orrin Hatch, $2,000, Tom Cotton, $2,600, John Thune, $17,500, Chuck Grassley, $21,600, Dan Sullivan, $23,400, along with David Perdue, same amount, Roy Blunt, $33,100, Mitch McConnell, $36,400, Lisa Murkowski, who actually in the end voted against her, $43,200. Good on her for doing that. Richard Burr, $43,200. Mike Rounds and Steve Daines, $46,800. Todd Young and Ron Johnson, $48,600. Tim Scott, $49,200. Cory Gardner, $49,800. John McCain, $50,600. Rob Portman, $51,000. Pat Toomey, $60,000. Tom Tillis, $70,200, along with Bill Cassidy. And Marco Rubio, $98,300 she got from DeVos. So she bought this position. This is a fucking scandal. Not only does she have zero experience and disqualifying beliefs because she's a religious fundamentalist who doesn't even believe in public schools, she also just flat out bought the position. I don't know why this isn't the biggest scandal and the biggest story in the country right now. This is ridiculous. I mean, this is something where, certainly one of the thoughts I had was, oh my God, what are other countries thinking of us right now looking at us? We just put a ridiculous human being to lead the public schools, and it's on record that she bribed all the senators. But the crazy thing is, this is all legal. How the fuck is this legal? I mean, could you imagine if it was the exact same set of facts, but it was in Russia? We'd all be like, oh, look at this fucking authoritarian, crazy oligarchy. Look at what they got going on over there. It's ridiculous. In fact, I remember they would talk about how, what was the number? Like over 95% of the time, the people in power in Russia would stay in power. And they would use that like, see, it's just not even a free country. Well, guess what? Here in the United States, over 95% of the time, the people who raise the most money end up getting elected. So that's the same kind of thing. Here we've legalized the bribery under the guise of campaign contributions and under the guise of it's just free speech. Free speech? What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, if you give money to somebody and a politician and then they do favors for you, that's just free speech. No, that's bribery and that's corruption 101. What are you talking about free speech? And think about that logic. If that logic holds true, which is money is speech, why can't you legally go buy crystal meth right now? After all, you're not really buying it. All you're doing is expressing with speech to another person who's a drug dealer, hey, I really like crystal meth. Here is my speech that I'm going to give you. Why can't you go to a prostitute? I'm just expressing with speech how much I love blowjobs. I don't know what the problem is here. This is speech, right? Money speech. Well, I'm expressing to this fine young lady I just found on the corner that I like blowjobs. The logic breaks down immediately, but it is the case right now. And by the way, it's also true that, so we have campaign contributions that are legalized bribery, but there are instances where they say, oh, you've gone too far and that's actual bribery. So, if there's a quid pro quo, so in other words, if you give the person the money and say, I am going to give you this money and you need to give me X, Y, and Z, then they go, oh, that's illegal. You got to dance around it. You got to be sly in how you say you want the thing that you want. You can't just come out and say it because then that'd be illegal. So it's got to be implied. Like, oh, okay, ExxonMobil gives this person money. Now they know ExxonMobil gets the corporate welfare check. They get the subsidy. But think about it. If that logic holds true that money equals speech, then actually why is any bribery illegal? Because the same logic would hold then. If money equals speech, then whether it's a campaign contribution and you dance around the quid pro quo or whether you outright do a quid pro quo, well, then that's still free speech because it's just money that's expressing something. So it makes no sense in so many ways, but this is what is legal in the United States of America, and I don't think any one of these people thought twice about it. To them, it was just like, duh. Like, what do you mean? Okay, so she's not smart. She doesn't believe in public schools. She's a Christian fundamentalist who paid lip service to intelligent design. She's going to decimate our public schools, and she bought this position. I don't care. The fuck do I care? So what? I'm handicapping generations of students because we're having an idiot, be involved with leading this and crafting the curriculum and whatnot. So what? So what? I don't care because guess what? She gave me money, so it's I scratch your back, you scratch mine. I want to get reelected. When I get reelected, I got to get a check that's a lot of money because if I raise more money, I'm more likely to win. So yeah, I'll do whatever the fuck you want. This is all out in the open, and to them, it's a duh, and that's what drives me fucking crazy. To them, it's a duh. The idea of, yeah, I voted for her because she gave me shitloads of money. To them, that's like, I don't see what the problem is. They're so used to it. They're bathing in the corruption. It's around them 24/7. So, if you talk to a fish, it's a funny sentence to say. Hey, how's the water? What are you talking about, water? What do you mean water? What are you talking about? Water. I don't know, what does that mean? Because they're in water all the time. So to them, it's like, this is a thing. There's something other than this. There's something different. That's the same thing with, I took money and voted for her. What the fuck's the problem? I don't see a problem. I don't know, what do you mean? Well, it is a problem. It is a problem because the rest of the country, regular people look at that and they go, oh my God, you loathsome, dirty, backroom deal-making, slimy motherfuckers. Like, this is how you run the country? And then you have the nerve to lecture people about democracy and human rights and freedom? Piss off. So today is a horrible day for the country. I had the thought yesterday, man, when I saw that Betsy DeVos got through, I thought, we're done. I slipped into ultimate pessimism because how can we... She is the most unqualified person ever and the last person who should have this position. And I'm not just saying that. Her entire record. You saw the fucking hearing with her. She doesn't know anything. She's really not smart. And now she's going to be the head of education? No experience, never been to a public school, nobody in her family ever went to a public school, doesn't believe in public schools, and she's a fucking religious lunatic. Oh... I briefly slipped into ultimate pessimism, but then I bounced right back and said, nah, we got to fight harder. We got to fight harder. We got to take over the Democratic Party, and after we take over the Democratic Party, have a wave of progressives and liberals get the majority and eventually get the presidency, because They're going to do a lot of damage. You know, the problem with the corporate Democrats is that when they're in power, if we're lucky, they inch us in the right direction 3%. Or most of the time, they probably just keep us coasting the same or even move us in the wrong direction sometimes. But the Republicans, when they get power, they just face the car in the wrong direction and put the pedal to the metal. So now it's going to be hard work to even get back to where we were before. And that's not acceptable. I mean, with all the major problems we face, like climate change, for example, you need bold, intelligent government that can really solve these problems and be serious. But we don't even have a government that acknowledges the problems exist right now. They are the problem. So it's just sad. We have a lunatic who bought the position of leading education. Welcome to the United States of America.